brings us to the P. And how it relates to our black asses getting sardine canned in that neighborhood while the neighborhood was on the decline. Because a lot of y'all do not know that that used to be a thriving neighborhood. Even prior to the current day gentrification that's taking place. Every time I slide through there on Trade 5 or Second, I'm seeing the hipsters jogging down the street with their little poodles, their little fanny packs, all the herbivores, the vegans, the liberals. That was a thriving neighborhood. The State Fair, bro, used to be in Oak Park. The State Fairgrounds were in Oak Park. That was a big thing back in the day. A lot of y'all don't know that. The first streetcar station in the city of Sacramento was in Oak Park. Basically the light rail station before there was a light rail. A lot of y'all didn't know. The Black Panther Party used to have a clubhouse in Oak Park. I'll do you one better. Let's go about 40 years before that. If your black ass was visiting Sacramento from Tennessee some goddamn where, one of the only restaurants that would allow you to come in there, sit and get a piece of ham and chicken was goddamn Charlie Dunlap Dining Room over there. This was a black-owned restaurant in the neighborhood of Oak Park, bro. Like, Oak Park has always had a very rich history. Which I guess brings us to the elephant in the room. What happened? How did the neighborhood go south? Where was the decline at? Well, it's a very long story, but we got time. A few things happened. See, as it relates to blacks, to some degree, there's always been a presence of black people in Oak Park. And Latinos, too, as well. There has. Even when you go back to the 1930s, there was indeed a small concentration of blacks staying in Oak Park. Maybe about 5 or 6 families. They made sure to landlock their ass over there off of San Jose Way and 8th Ave. You stay over there. Don't you damn come over to this side, right? But at that time, it still was a majority working-class white neighborhood. That working-class aspect is very important. Why? Because back in the day, see, nowadays we all poor. Back in the day, right now, the middle class is basically the working class now. Versus back in the day, if you stayed in a working class neighborhood, it ain't mean you stayed in the ghetto. It ain't mean you stayed where there was gangs at. But if they fought to close that goddamn chicken factory down the street and the cannon factory where all your daddies, all our great granddaddies was working at, y'all in trouble. It is a gang or two coming as soon as that shit happened. So where that relates to us is you don't see the first wave of blacks, the first wave of African Americans move into the neighborhood of Oak Park until about the 1960s, late 1950s maybe, right? The negative with that is they only allowed us to start coming there because the neighborhood was on the extreme economic decline. Back to that working class thing. What I mean? Well, a few things happened. Number one, they closed that streetcar station in 1946. That streetcar station, which was very important, bro, because remember, this is 1946. A lot of people depend on that to get back and forth to work. If you got a home in Oak Park, you're going to go work in downtown, that might have been your only mode of transportation to get there. They ain't got freeways like that. They even build the Highway 58, which we're going to get to in a minute. That's a big thing. So a lot of people started moving. Okay, that's one thing too. Affected a lot of business because even that slowly but surely declines the amount of business in the neighborhood if you're seeing half the residents leave. But we can skip that. That's one big thing. Okay, cool. Another thing, they starting to build Highway 50. Highway 50 was big because that made it easier to isolate Oak Park from all the surrounding neighborhoods around it. Tahoe Park, Southland Park, and Woody Whoop. So that made the property value drop a lot more because remember, this is already a working class neighborhood. We drop in the property value and we market. You ever notice how expensive it is to buy a home in Southland Park and Tahoe Park versus Oak Park? Ain't that some shit? And the neighborhood is right next to them, brings up the freeway. This is why. Okay, cool. That's one thing too. Big thing too, a lot of people do not talk about, is they closed the state fairgrounds. They closed the state fairgrounds. The California State Fair that operated in Oak Park from basically 1910 to 1968, they closed that. That's a big deal, bro, because not only are you taking away the state fair, that brings in a lot of business and money, you got to think of when you close the state fairgrounds, all the other events that operate there. It's like when you go to Cal Expo. We have the state fair once a year. How many other business, how many other operations, how many other festivals do we have in those same fairgrounds just because it's Cal Expo? When that leaves, even if those fairgrounds are still there, there's going to be a lack of a flow. Okay, cool. That's one thing, too. Hence, we get to our black asses. The first wave of blacks that started coming here in high numbers was when, like in my last video I talked about, when they tore down, bowled over, and destroyed the Western neighborhood and the Japantown neighborhood in downtown Sacramento, which is now current day Capitol Mall. Why was that bad? that literally left thousands of blacks, and specifically blacks and Asians and some Latinos, homeless or without places to go. They had some relocation programs where a lot of blacks got sent to two neighborhoods: Southside Park, which we'll get to that in another video, or Oak Park. All of these factors lead to us coming there, and then they know our black ass is coming there, and hence we get to white flight, where they trying to get the fuck up out of there. Hence we get to the declining property values. Hence we get to all of that. We're coming there essentially in a bear trap, in a trap where we're already doomed to fail. We're going to a neighborhood, low property value. There's no jobs here. We're landlocked from everything. The people who come in here are already po as fuck as is.